Ohio State has picked up commit number 13 in the 2026 class. Spencer Holbrook here, Mick Walker on the other side of your screen, going to break it all down for Lettermen Row. Jordan Thomas, four-star cornerback from Bergen Catholic over there in New Jersey. Now in the fold for Ohio State. Tim Walton does it again, folks. Lands another elite cornerback, this time in the class of 2026. Mick, what do you know about Jordan Thomas?
No good bit. Obviously, a couple months ago, I made the trip out to New Jersey, got to sit down with Jordan at Bergen Catholic. So got to meet him, shake a few hands, meet his coach, I know his parents from talking to him at different visits and stuff that I've kind of seen him around on. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed in Jordan Thomas, and I'm excited to kind of shed some light on that as we get through this video, so Ohio State fans learn more about their newest cornerback commitment.
All right, so let's talk first about the fit on the field. What does Jordan, and you know this more than I do. You watch a lot of the tape. I don't as much with the high school kids. What does Jordan Thomas bring to the Ohio State defense from the cornerback position? I know that he's going to step into a room that's going to be loaded with third-year guys such as Aaron Scott and Bryce West and Miles Lockhart. He's going to step in potentially with Jermaine Matthews in a fourth year, Devin Sanchez in his second year with Jordan Woods. It seems like a loaded room. What does Jordan Thomas bring to the field at Ohio State?
Yeah, tons of length and athleticism. Like, we have him listed at 6'1", 185 pounds. He's all of 6'1", maybe even pushing a little bit closer to 6'2", has plus arm length. Like, this is a guy that went up against Quincy Porter, who's Ohio State's 5-star wide receiver commit in the 2025 class, every single day in practice. Those two were battling. Those two were going back and forth. And Jordan mentioned that on his commitment announcement with On 3 Recruits, just mentioned that he wanted to go up against Quincy and Chris Henry Jr. and Jeremiah Smith every day in practice. Like, this is a athletic, long, competitive prospect, which on the field is everything Ohio State looks for at cornerback. When I initially got offered by Ohio State, I thought he was going to be a safety because he can kind of move around. He has good vision, good ball skills to kind of read in the secondary, but he played corner when I saw him last fall. He's continued to play corner, and Ohio State kind of fell in love with him there. Tim Walton prioritized him, and now he's in the class to be hopefully Ohio State's next top cornerback from New Jersey, especially when you have Davis and Igbinosin already in the program.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep going. I guess where we'll go next before we get into the fit within the class of 2026 is, what is Ohio State doing with Bergen Catholic right now? It seems like the pipeline is starting to open up a little bit. It seems like the connections in New Jersey are starting to open back up. It seems like for just a few years there wasn't really much action between Ohio State and New Jersey. That was a Penn State, Michigan, and then the SEC type of deal over there in New Jersey. What is Ohio State doing right now that you think, Mick, is allowing them to go in and get guys like Quincy Porter, like Jordan Thomas? Like, what are they doing here that's fueling this?
Yeah, it starts up at the top. Their head coach of Bergen Catholic is Vito Campanelli. He's part of the real historic Campanelli family there in New Jersey when it comes to, I believe, his brother coaches in college and his other brother coaches in the NFL. So they know football, and part of their coaching experience was coaching Ryan Day throughout college, I believe. I think Vito, the head coach there at Bergen Catholic, Coach Ryan Day, has experience working with them. So those two have a close relationship, head coach to head coach. And obviously when you have those tight relationships, that helps facilitate the recruiting process. And then from there, knowing that Coach Campanelli kind of helped breed Ryan Day and help build him into this, what he is now, you'd have to imagine, and it's been obvious now with the recruiting results, they have similar ideals on what they want on the people in their program, the players that they put on the field. So the culture fit, everything kind of meshes really well between Bergen Catholic, Ohio State. And I think it all goes back to Ryan Day and Coach Campanelli's relationship, which has kind of led to them being in Bergen Catholic so much right now. And then in 2028, they've already offered 2028 off defensive lineman Jackson Vaughn at Bergen Catholic. When I went there to visit Jordan Thomas last month or 2 months ago, Vaughn was wearing an Ohio State polo because that's part of just the dress code at Bergen Catholic is you have to have a polo. You don't have to have an Ohio State one, but obviously a lot of guys recently have had that Ohio State polo as well.
Interesting. Okay. So it's just kind of a long-standing connection there that's allowing Ohio State to kind of tap back in. Let's get into first of all, Jordan Thomas, the fit on the field is different from Jordan Thomas, the fit off the field in the program with the culture. What about Jordan did you take away from your visit over there in New Jersey a few weeks ago? And what does he bring as far as a, locker room presence, kind of player, culture fit, things like that, the buzzwords that all these coaches talk about, but Ohio State really cares about?
Yeah, obviously Ohio State only recruits guys that are primarily only recruits guys that are good human beings. Jordan Thomas is another one of those guys. Like, I don't know his GPA, but I know he does well in school from talking to Coach Campanelli. I know he's a leader of that program, has been since he was a junior. Like, he mentioned his faith today during his commitment announcement. Like, all the boxes that we look at and you kind of see when we talk to prospects or players when they get to Ohio State, like Jordan Thomas just checks those. He's like, when I sat down there, I think it was my longest conversation on anybody I talked to in Philly and New Jersey. Like, it was a good 15-minute conversation just because Jordan is very well thought out, well spoken about everything. He wants to talk about everything. He asked how my trip was. He asked, did I come to see him? Like, who else was I coming to see? Like, he wanted to know all about he was essentially interviewing me as well as much as I was interviewing him. And that's just kind of how he is as a person. So like, personality wise, I'm excited. Like, whenever we get to these point where guys are committing, I always think about, I'm excited for Spencer to be able to talk to this guy in 2 years. I'm excited the Ohio State beat to be able to talk to this guy in a couple of years. And I think Jordan is one guy that when his time comes at Ohio State, when he is on campus, people are going to enjoy talking to him because he's that good of a guy.
Well, thanks, Mick. I appreciate you looking out for us over on the team side of things from your perch at the top of the recruiting mountain here when it comes to Ohio State football recruiting coverage. Mick is the best that there is, folks. He is rapidly rising up the ranks, and you should go give his content a shout-out over at lettermenrow.com. $1 for your first 7 days. You get everything that Mick writes. He's going to have a lot on this Jordan Thomas commit, including where he fits into the class in 2026. Ohio State now is basically loaded up at in the defensive backfield. I don't think they're near done either. It starts obviously with number 28 overall prospect in the country, safety out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the crown jewel of this class, even ahead of Chris Henry Jr. in my opinion. Hartline does his own things, but you go down to Baton Rouge and get a safety. That's huge. Blaine Bradford obviously headlines this thing. Simeon Caldwell, a 4-star safety from the Bullis School down in Jacksonville. He's in the class already. You got Jacob Weatherspoon, an in-state kid from Avon, who is another top 200, a safety cornerback, wherever Ohio State chooses to play him. And then obviously now Jordan Thomas in the class. Where does Jordan fit in with all of this, and what position do you think he's going to play at Ohio State?
Yeah, I think Blaine's if we just start at the top, Blaine Bradford's your guy that could probably play strong or free safety. If you get a guy like Braylon Womack, who we can talk about, the 5-star out of Mississippi, if we want to talk about him in a little bit. If you add him to this class with Blaine Bradford, I think Blaine's probably more of the strong safety type, and Braylon can play the free safety. Simeon Caldwell could also play strong safety. Heck, he could grow into being a linebacker in James Laurinaitis' room. So that's kind of the safety guys. Jacob Witherspoon is someone that Ohio State doesn't recruit somebody to play nickel. It's not like something they specifically try and search out for. But Jacob Witherspoon is about as good of a carbon copy for what Jordan Hancock was at Ohio State as you can find on the high school recruiting trail. So he can come in and do that. And then Jordan Thomas is just your outside cornerback. Like, he's another, and he's obviously not on the prospect pedigree yet of a Devin Sanchez, but he's another Devin Sanchez, Jermaine Matthews, like Davidson Ignoson, long outside corner that can press jam, that can play off, has good ball stinks, read, react, flip his hips, change direction, just cover these talented wide receivers that come out of high school ranks every single cycle. Like, that's what Jordan Thomas brings to the class, as a legitimate 6'1" outside wide receiver or outside cornerback.
Man, you sound like Mel Kiper there, breaking it all down. I was just waiting for you to get mad about Shadur Sanders still being on the board. You sound like Kiper breaking it down. Mick, let's talk now about the rest of this class, because there's 13 guys in the boat. Ohio State's going to sign between 20 and 30 guys. Don't really know. Every year it's a little different. The most they've ever signed, I think, was 26. Was that last year or 2 years ago? The fewest they've ever signed was in Ryan Day's first year. I think it was like 15. Where do you see this class ending up? And then also, everybody wants to know. Nobody cares now that Jordan Thomas is committed. Who's next? Like, that's the question that everybody wants to know. And at one point, Jordan Thomas was being listed as one of those who's next. Now that he's in the class, who's next, Mick?
Yeah, here in about 5-10 minutes from while we're recording this, which is 3:27 in the afternoon, I'll have my who's next story out, so you can read 5 straight names that'll come out. So I think the name that's been on the top of that list for about a month or two now, and the name that every Ohio State fan is pounding, like, why is he still on the board, is Favor Akey, the 4-star running back out of Delaware Hayes. Like, everybody wants him to come off, announce his commitment. We talked about him on the recruiting show last week. I think he wants to take him to his official visit, have a creative, somewhat of a creative and interesting way to announce his commitment, and not just kind of tweet a graphic on Twitter. Like, he wants to be something a little bit more unique than that. So look for that. I think his official visit is that first week or in our second weekend in June. So that could come here in the next couple of weeks. Timeline-wise, that's probably the one that's the closest. Sincere Johnson, Jameer Perez, the 2 guys out of Cleveland Glenville, they're going to announce their commitment shortly after their official visits, but I think they're both scheduled to take official visits through that June 13th through 15th weekend, which is the 3rd weekend of June. Both those guys will be at Ohio State that weekend, and then shortly after that, they could make a decision. Other than that, nobody really is on like a timeline where I can kind of lay it out here on video and make it seem super succinct. But I mean, 10 days ago, Elber Hill wasn't committed anywhere. He commits to USC. A few days later, Jordan Thomas says, hey, I'm going to announce a commitment on Monday, May 12th. And now Jordan Thomas is in the class. Like, this is just, we're at that time of year, Spencer, where we could just, things can change on a dime. Guys could tell Steve Wiltfong or Hayes Fawcett or Chad Simmons and any one of these guys that on three that do a great job. They want to commit, and then it's out here in the next hour or so. Like, it changes on a dime. But for now, I think we're probably holding the pad a little bit, considering, like you said, you have 13 commitments. They signed 26 last cycle. I imagine they want to be around that same number. So you save that many spots and you do the rest of the work in the summer, which is traditionally Ohio State does it.
Yeah, 13 before official visits is a good number for Ohio State, because you're going to see, I would say, 7 or 8 guys commit after official visit season. And then you'll go into the fall. The way Ohio State likes to do is you'll go into the fall with 5 or 6 big fish still out there, hoping that you can land them and get to that 25, 26 mark. But you're good if you get to 23 or 24. So, it kind of seems like Ohio State is on track here with his 2026 class relative to what it normally does, and what we've come to know from Ryan Day's program. Like 13 right now is about the right number. 26, like USC has, I think 26 right now. Like, that's just stupid, to be honest. Like, I think that's really dumb. And I don't think it's a way to build a program to have 26 guys committed already right now. But, that's not my business. I cover Ohio State here. And I think the Buckeyes do it correctly, which is why they just won the national championship. So 13 right now seems like a good number. Do you agree?
Yeah, they're right on track with everything. I'm trying to double check here, but I think they only had 3 or 4 heading into March 17th was the first spring practice. One of our Spencer told me, hey, write a prediction recruiting story for spring practices. Tell me what you think is going to happen, and we'll get it up on the site. One of those predictions was Ohio State finishes April with 10 plus commitments. They did just that. They added 7 or 8 commitments in that kind of few week span, just because that's how this thing rolls. There's going to be times throughout the spring practices where they go 3 straight days with commitments like they did this fall, or 3 and 4 days like how they did with CJ Sana and Simeon Caldwell and Blaine Bradford. Like, things just go quickly in the spring. Then there's going to be a little bit of a lull here in May as coaches get out on the road, see guys, go in home visits, tee everything up for when you get these official visits in June. And then as Spencer's hoping to do later this week, you knock it all the way down, hole in one, finish everything off in the summer on your official visits. So that's what Ohio State's plan is. Everything's gone according to plan. It's just about finishing it up here and really capitalizing on what could be a good class coming off a national championship. All
right, well, there you have it, folks. Jordan Thomas in the class. Ohio State picks up commit number 13 with a really, really good outside corner from the state of New Jersey. Mick Walker all over it over at lettermenrow.com. Go get that coverage right now, $1 for your first 7 days. Alex Gleitman's going to have more coverage from New Jersey about New Jersey. Mick Walker's going to be doing his thing, and I'm just going to be covering the team over at lettermenrow.com. Come join us. Come hang out in the Letterman Lounge. $1 for your first 7 days. And we will see you back here tomorrow for another breakdown of the Buckeyes. We'll see you guys over at lettermenrow.com as we continue to break down Jordan Thomas committing to Ohio State.